So let's just let ourselves come to a stop. We're going to slow ourselves way down. Let your eyes take in the room around you. Let your ears take in the environment. Let your senses open up. And hooked into this living moment, begin to focus on the breath. As you're breathing in, you're right there with that inhale. As you're breathing out, you're riding the exhale all the way down. Now, in between the breaths, notice that gap of nothing space. Yeah, I know, Joanna. I can't seem to get it to work. It says it's working on my computer, but I'm trying to see it on my iPad and it's not working.
I just wanted to let you know, I just pulled it up on my YouTube and it says live meditation class, 3 waiting scheduled for July 30th at 8 p.m. Just so you know.
Yeah. All right, let me just take one more look at this and see if there's anything I can do. Reconnect.
I know the first times are always the hardest.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'll let you know if it pops up or anything. I have it on my
Yeah,
laptop and
okay.
I'm on my
On
phone.
my end, it's like on my end, it looks like it's working, but I can see that it's not for them.
Okay.
It's okay. So we have to look in life at what signals we're giving our body. Right now, we could be frazzled because things aren't working. Or we could just slow down, let it all come to a stop. Let it all be exactly what it is. Your body, your nervous system, is trapped inside a skull and a spine. So it takes its cues from you. It takes its cues from how you respond to the world around you. So last week, for example, just for anyone listening to this recording, last week we had, I don't know, 4 or 5 men come into the room, and we had made the Zoom link publicly available. And they came in basically to prank the class, you know. They were showing pornography in the background and doing whatever they could to disrupt. And we laughed and, you know, kicked them out of the room one at a time, and then had a really nice session, you know, and went on with what we were doing. In that moment, there were many invitations, right? We could have gotten indignant. We could have gotten very angry. We could have lashed out. We could have felt hurt and vulnerable that someone would do that to us when all we're doing is offering free meditation classes to people. There were many invitations in that moment. And in life, usually which invitation we say yes to happens on automatic pilot. It's a decision that's already made from deep within us. But the beauty of meditation, the beauty of practicing meditation, which is really, you know, the word is almost trite, you know, because what we're actually talking about is the beauty of mastering yourself. The beauty of that is you get to choose. You're aware of the different invitations. And rather than taking on and matching the signals of chaos, you instead regulate your breathing so that there's something, this brain that, you know, is stuck inside your skull. So there's something that it can hook onto that is a signal of everything's calm, everything's regulated, everything's fine. When it sees that through one strong, consistent cue, it will look for other evidence that everything is fine. So in that class, you guys listened to my voice, and I sounded like this. I sounded patient. I sounded light. I sounded kind. And it gave everybody permission to accept the invitation of just letting it be something funny that happened. And we all just went on. No big deal. Right?
Right.
Every instant of your life is filled with a million invitations. Your brain will pick one. It'll pick one according to whatever you've got going on inside of you. And then it will look for further evidence that that is correct. You know, you've noticed that in your life, haven't you? When you're talking to somebody and maybe you catch a signal that they're judging you in some way. And all of a sudden you're listening with more sensitivity to every word they say, trying to collect evidence that what you think is happening is happening. When the reality is, even if you noticed some signal that you recognize as judgment, you don't really know what that means. You know, when I speak to, you know, I do grief counseling, and so I talk to clients a lot, and, you know, you'll hear them talk about how somebody's going to be upset with them because they're doing something they want to do, that they need to do, that the other person doesn't want. And for one person, it's like, oh yeah, they were upset. But you can tell that what that means is something completely different. You know, they were upset. They're going to think I was annoying, and we'll get over it and it'll be fine. You know? Or they were upset, and you know what? They deserve to be upset. Let them be upset. Another person, they're going to be upset, and that means I'm going to get rejected by them, and that means my child will reject me as well because they're married to them, and I'll lose my family. There's a million invitations, even within an invitation, that everybody would put the same word on. And whatever you take as that invitation, you're going to start building evidence for it.
Right.
Someone who thinks that, they're going to start to actually look for other signals that the person is upset, and they'll see them talking to their friend, and they'll think that they're probably talking about them, and maybe they are. But again, that can mean many things, you know? That can happen on many levels. We collect this evidence, we build this case to hold in place what we think we know about how life works, how people work, how people are. And it's so insidious. It's so insidious. We do it all the time. I mean, think about what happened last week. That could be anything from a group of 15-year-olds having fun on a Thursday night, you know, good old boys having fun, you know, and we just happen to be the butt of it. Or it can be an organized effort to take down a meditation class. It can be something very heavy. It could be something that, you know, confirms that the world is a dangerous place. You know, how do they even find us? What does that mean? Like, you know, do they know where we live? And then we start looking for totally different evidence based on that. Do you see how flexible it is?
Yeah.
And the crux of it is you. The crux of it is us. It's not what's outside of us at all. What's outside of us is a crumb that we overinterpret. And we build dreams and nightmares out of it. Have you ever been in a bad mood and annoyed with somebody, and rather than getting annoyed back with you, they just treated you like, you're just being you, you know, and isn't that funny? And they just treated you like you were a reasonable human being, that there was no big thing that needed to be dealt with. Didn't you find that it elicited something different from you over time? Or other people who are just sure you're going to do something awful. Doesn't it make you testy with them when you weren't testy before you got there? Do you see? We are pulling life out of the woodwork of these crumbs. And even the crumbs, in any given moment, there's a million crumbs that could catch your attention. There are crumbs that could tell you today's going to be a really good day. There are crumbs that could tell you that today is going to be awful and really hard. So what actually exists outside of you? What's actually there? I think we could make a pretty good case that there's nothing there. Remember all those classes I've given you where you've released the identity of everything around you. Released your investment in the walls of the room that you're in. The lamp in front of you is no longer a lamp. It's just exactly what it is, and it's allowed to change. It's allowed to move. Do you remember that? Do you remember how the walls start to kind of wiggle and move because you're not holding them in place anymore? And how at some point, what's around you is just brilliant nothing. Brilliant nothing that has no definition or characteristic. And in that space, you feel so free. You feel completely released. Why? What does that mean? That when you release everything outside of you, your inside is suddenly released. What it means is that none of it was outside of you. That it's all an arrangement of the totality of your mind. And so here we are. How is your mind arranging itself right now? What crumb is it picking up? And what evidence is it trying to collect? You know, we know from neuroscience that the majority of people who think that they're too tired to do something, for example, are not actually too tired to do it. It's just that they've given their bodies signals that something is problematic, that something is stressful, that something is going to expend its energy irresponsibly. And so the brain responds by making you too tired to do it, too tired to engage. I dealt with that today. I had 3 easy tasks on my plate, but they were tasks for my guidelines, and my guidelines are toxic. And I believe that deeply. And it's something I should probably root out of myself, although I have a lot of evidence that my guidelines are toxic. I've collected so much evidence that when I even get close to them now, it looks exhausting. I get headaches. I get this unbelievable fatigue, this desire to do anything else. All of that is this nervous system stuck inside that's just listened to my cues. It's watched me scramble, it's watched me waste energy, it's watched my blood pressure spike, it's watched all of those things. And I've avoided. And in that avoidance, I taught it that this is something to avoid. Help me avoid this. This is toxic. This is exhausting. And I know from experience that the way to work through that is to show up and do the tasks. To not ask yourself if you have enough energy, not ask yourself if you feel like it, and just show up and do that thing that you think you don't have the energy to do. And when you do, and I'm sure you've experienced this, suddenly all the energy and clarity is there. and you're able to actually make something happen. Why? Because showing up and doing sends your brain a different signal. A signal that this is something we can meaningfully engage with. The brain doesn't know. It's just picking up on the peripheries of your behavior. Do you see? Once you know that, how you approach your life is different. Once you know that, how you approach meditation is different. Do I feel like meditating today is no longer a question you ask. You know, I chant 3 hours a day. Do I feel like chanting for 3 hours today? Is no longer a question you ask. The answer is no. But you go in and you start doing it. And you do it without trying to distract yourself. You do it without trying to escape it. And that stillness and that willingness to be present with it removes all of those chemicals in your body that are making you want to resist it. All that feeling of bad. I know you've experienced that, you know. Anyone who's ever gone through a phase of exercise, anybody who's ever cooked a meal, you know, and didn't feel like cooking a meal, any child that ever had to get into a bathtub, there's that resistance. And then you walk through it, and the whole reason you were resisting suddenly becomes irrelevant. That's why. So, last week we had some hecklers. But life is always heckling us. It doesn't matter whether there are hecklers. It matters how you respond. And I don't mean that as some kind of moralistic principle thing. I'm not talking about turning the other cheek. I mean, how you respond determines reality. Do you see that?
Yes.
How you respond in every moment, what invitation you say yes to determines reality. A simple shift in the attention that leads to a quick shift in behavior that leads to a recalibrating of the entire moment. So let's go into meditation now. And I want you just to pay attention to how your mind is arranged. What are you looking at? What are you building on? What case are you trying to build? And just first become aware of it. Eventually you'll fall silent. But first, become aware of your thinking mind. And after you fall silent, when we come out of it, notice how it reassembles. What's the first crumb you pick up? Let's do that now. Attention at the forehead and crown. Eyes anchored somewhere in front of you. Fully present in the room, begin to breathe. about if you just let your heart relax a little bit? And just let it open up. Slow yourself down. Hook into this exact instant. In this moment, a window to eternity opens, but you have to be able to stop in order to experience it. zero out. Release your investment in everything around you. Let go of its name, its assigned function. Set it free. It is no longer held in captivity to your story. Set it free. Knowledge is the cage. Release your knowledge. Set it free. Timeless. We've talked before about how you can slow time down or speed time up just through how you shift your attention. Again, that's because it is all inside of you. The experience is the whole thing. this week, I want you to notice what crumbs you pick up and what you're pulling out of the woodwork of life. In as many moments as possible, notice what invitation have I accepted and what evidence am I building to support the case of that invitation. Sorry, these are some mixed metaphors. But you get what I'm saying. What have you latched onto? What belief has latched you onto something, and how are you building evidence to support that belief? First, become aware of it as it's happening. And then intercept it. Shift your focus. If you can't figure out how to do that, just from deep within yourself say, show me a better viewpoint. Show me my next step viewpoint. And notice what pops up in your mind or in your environment for you to give your attention to. And just go with it. If you go with it, you'll naturally build a case for that. But you have to step into it to see. You have to work with it. All right, guys, any questions before we end for the night? All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for keeping your clothes on, for not playing porn in the background.
Thank
You
you,
were
ma'am.
very well behaved.
Thank you, Leah.
All right, guys.
Beautiful as always, and I love your new background. That's awesome.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I'm hidden in the grass. You'll never find me. All right, guys. Have a good night.
Comedian. Good